Hello, it's Troy, and what I wanted to do today, I'm walking along, I'm in central London, as you can see. It's pretty busy, people around about in the evening, get ready to go for dinner and stuff like that. What I wanted to do was just address a question that got sent to me by a lovely reader and viewer the other day, and it got me thinking. And basically, it was one of those questions about, is this ONEITIS, or is this, true love, whatever. There was this woman that I met, and I really like her, and we split up, etc. Now, I don't want to give away too many of the details of this, obviously, for the sake of anonymity. It wouldn't be fair, and I wouldn't do that. But I do get questions along these lines from time to time, and this one wasn't so different. Basically, the guy was saying, look, I was with this woman for about 7 or 8 years, and I think they'd even had a kid together as well. So it was a very serious relationship. They weren't married, but whatever. They were in a serious relationship together, and then they had split up, and they'd been split up for about a year. And he was saying, look, I got into your stuff, I got into probably a bit of Tusk, a bit of Rollo Tomasi, whatever. He's discovered this world of sort of dating advice and all the rest of it. Great, okay. And he said, so I've been moving on a little bit, I met some girls, I've had some different relationships, things like this. But he hadn't met anybody who was as good as the original woman, and he still had feelings for that original girl. And he was saying, all right, so is this normal? Really, he was saying, is this normal? But he was saying, is this ONEITIS, or is she actually the woman for me? And I think that sometimes, it's starting to rain a little bit, I think sometimes these terms that get bandied around are a bit unhelpful, to be honest. Because somebody finds this kind of material in this portion of the internet, and they learn a word, God, it's pouring down there, and they learn a word like ONEITIS, which is, a useful enough term, I suppose, in its own right. So what ONEITIS means, if you don't know, is basically when you develop an insatiable obsession with a woman who you may be with, or it could be unrequited, but let's say you're with her, you develop a sort of fixation on her to the exclusion of everybody else, okay? And that is ONEITIS. Great. So we've got a word for this thing now, which is useful, but I mean, it's only useful up to a point, because look, let's just be real here for a minute. The reality is, if you're with somebody for 7 or 8 years in a committed relationship, and you've had a kid together, of course, you are still going to be, you're still going to have feelings about that particular woman, you're still going to have feelings about that person a year later. It could be a couple of years. It could take you a long time to get through, to get to the other side of those feelings, if you do at all. And I just kind of think using a term like ONEITIS as if it's this special magical thing, like, oh, do you think I've got ONEITIS, and what's the cure for ONEITIS? I don't think it's a particularly helpful way of looking at things, to be honest. I think a more helpful way of looking at this is just to be bloody realistic about it, and just say, look, I was with somebody for a long time, I developed feelings for them, it's going to take me some time to process the fact that we've broken up and we've moved on to something else. I mean, God, I was with somebody for 3 years and I don't think that I'm still over them, and whether, the question is whether I ever will be entirely over them, because as I've said in other videos, as we talked about before on live streams and stuff, the truth is, there's this idea in the men's space that, yeah, man, you can just spin plates and it'll all be great, and you can, go and sleep with 10 other women and you'll forget about her, it'll be fine. In my experience, that's not true. In my experience, that doesn't work. I mean, yes, if you date other people, it can sort of take your mind off it a little bit for a period of time, but I don't think that you can just replace people that easily, and I think it's unrealistic to think that you can, and I don't think that propagating that idea is particularly helpful to the people who will come and find this content because, you know, they've had a breakup and they're finding it tricky. So that's my view on it. In terms of that specific guy, and he was, you know, kind of asking what he should do and everything. I mean, obviously it's going to depend. It's going to depend on your specific circumstances, on what's happening with that particular woman. I mean, you know, it sounded like she had moved on. Obviously he had moved on in some regard as well. Probably in that situation, you know, you kind of got to suck it up. You kind of got to suck it up, say, okay, it didn't work. We are separated now. I'm going to learn from this. I'm going to try to move on the best that I can. But dubbing it, you know, ONEITIS, or, oh, is it, let me take up my red pill, let me go speak to the red pill doctor and find out if it's ONEITIS or not. And if it is ONEITIS, you know, there must be some special 6 steps that I can do to get rid of ONEITIS. You know, is this behavior alpha or not? It's all nonsense. It's all bollocks. None of that matters. You've got to be realistic. Let's be realistic about ourselves and about emotions and about the way that we interact with people, you know, connect with people. Because, you know, there are some people that you are going to have relationships with and you're just going to be more, you know, you're just going to get more embedded with them than others. That's what we call love. You know, you can argue it's a chemical thing. Maybe it is. So what? It still feels the same. It still cuts deep, okay? And that's absolutely fine, all right? So don't get too wound up on this terminology. Don't get too sort of like, you know, you read the Rational Mail and then all of a sudden you're just trying to sort of, you're taking it too literally if you understand what I'm saying. I mean, yes, the principles are incredibly helpful, and yes, there are things that you can understand and it will help you in your life, but at the same time, go easy on yourself a little bit, you know, and don't feel that you have to measure up to this internet alpha kind of status, because to be honest, the people that are putting out those videos, the people that are putting out those blog posts, they're not going to be there to help you pick up the pieces. You know, they're on the other side of the screen doing their own thing. So watch the content, take in the content, learn, but also just live your life and don't become too absorbed with it to the fact that you're trying to be almost inhuman in your reactions to normal things. I'm going to leave it there for now, but my course CAD Academy is opening again on the 28th of this month for new enrolments. There's going to be some more news coming out about that very soon, but it has been completely redesigned to be the most comprehensive dating course in the marketplace, covering everything from approach anxiety to style. Obviously, I'm the OG at that. Style, grooming, looking fantastic when you're in your 40s. Not really. We'll have a special seminar on that maybe. But you know, how to not run out of things in a conversation, what to do on a date, etc., etc. It's all going to be in there, A to Z, everything you need to know. If you want to be updated on that, click the link below, get on the email list, get on the waiting list, which is my email list, and you will be given more details on CAD Academy, launching on the 28th of April very soon. See you later. Bye-bye.